the same household, a brother and a sister, and they can both be in different boxes.
Yeah.
Right. And so what I've really learned is like how, if I'm going to try and fix or understand or present solutions, I have to step into the box. I have to.
Oh, so that's right. That's why you let me turn everything around. We got audio, we got video, we got
double redundancy.
All right. We're doing a podcast. We are doing joyful what?
A noise unto the Lord.
A joyful noise.
That's why, like, for me, people who know they can't sing but still do it, like, in a sense of like authenticity, is one of the best sounds to me. Those who like think they can sing and are horrible, that's cringeworthy. That's cringeworthy. But if you're like, I can't sing, I'm gonna do it anyways, I'm like, let's go.
So what about those that know they can't dance but dance anyway?
That's me. So
he said, "Listen, we ain't gonna talk about."
I'll do it joyfully. If my wife's a dancer, she looks at me, just stop. Like she stopped.
It's cringeworthy.
I just been dumb around the house lately, and my wife just.
All right, so quick question.
Yeah.
Wife and I were with two friends of ours last night, and one is you can dance, but she tells her husband, keep it close. Which means keep everything in here. It reminds me of Hitch.
Yeah.
Like stay at home, right? Her husband is let me be free and fly, spread my wings. So he's one of those. And you are?
One of those.
Ooh, you let that thing fly.
Generally, if I'm really gonna do it, but for the most part, I just don't dance. This is one of those where I just don't dance. Like if we go to weddings and stuff like that, I'll do some stuff and depending on whose wedding I'm going to, I might get on the dance floor, but for the most part, I'm just
If you are,
if the keep a shuffle comes on, I'll get on the floor. Right.
No, what about the wobble?
I'll get on the floor for the wobble.
Okay.
Yeah. I have rhythm enough for that kind of stuff, but if you're trying to get me to go free, I don't know enough, so it's free.
So that's even better than me just make it up as you go. That's a free style.
It's free.
It's free
and
style.
It looks horrible, and it can be embarrassing, but in those moments, it is what it is. So
hold on,
I'm having
BMJ,
fun.
Brandon Moore Johnson, we have just jumped in like we always do. We didn't pray in, we didn't bless the food, none of that stuff, so we just want to keep it rolling. Neal Lopes Jr., Brandon Moore Johnson, Mr. BMJ. As always, when I get some of your time, I want to just dive in, ask a lot of questions because I'm curious.
Yeah.
As we were walking over here, 3 years in leadership, right?
Yeah. Well, Florida director, but for 5 years now.
Okay, so
in the association.
How has I'm going to say, since the past year, since we had this conversation,
right? How
have things changed, improved, been different, any of the above?
Specifically in my role, or just in
First, let's just talk about in general.
Yeah.
And then we'll dive in.
Yeah, this year has been unbelievable.
For real?
In the good and the bad sense.
Oh, okay.
Right? So as a realtor, the industry's drastically changed. I mean, drastically changed.
Yeah.
In a sense, from the outward perspective. So having to deal with that transition, market's been super slow. So just the industry as a whole is a very different market.
Yeah.
At least where we're at.
And where's that?
Lakeland. So right in between Tampa and Orlando. So
you guys are in a funky spot, right?
The belt buckle of Central Florida is what it's what we call it.
Wait, so you guys call it that, because I ain't never heard that.
Yeah, the belt buckle of Central Florida. That's what my broker calls it that a lot.
Okay.
I call it the hub of Central Florida.
We the belt buckle.
It's a good old Polk County is what they call it. But there's been so just in general in this last year, there's been a lot of growth personally from a leadership standpoint. Okay. There's been a lot of growth business-wise because I have a real estate coach that I've been dealing with now for about a year. So there's just a lot of foundation building and then a lot of stepping into who is Brandon as a leader and really taking action in that, which has been very interesting because I feel the two, and then personal life too, there's just been a lot of growth and a lot of change, personally as a dad, as a husband, and and we don't have an hour per topic to go through each one of those because we can really go in depth on all of them. But to me, I feel like how I would categorize this last year is like the beginning of growth.
Okay.
Like a lot of it has been foundational building over the last 5 years for me, of like discovery, figuring things out. Now I kind of have a baseline that now it's like, okay, what's that next like growth trajectory? What does that look like? And within that is a lot of transition still.
Okay. So the one I'm always interested in first is as man, husband, dad, right? Because I think we talk about foundation, that's a big piece of it, right? So BMJ, man, husband, dad, talk about the growth. Where are you seeing the biggest areas for impact and growth over the past year?
The transition between focusing on family versus focusing on work, and having the understanding that yes, I've been working for my family, but my family doesn't really care about the work. They care about,
and not in a selfish way,
right? Like they care about like me being present. And so this last year of that transition is learning I haven't been as present as I should be, and then making the transition in my business to be more like present family focused with my daughter, with my wife, and then now struggling like, okay, how do you handle both building a business, bringing in money for the family when like at the end of the day, yes, the money's important, but like if everything gets stripped away, I still only have my family. So if I'm only focusing on work, then I lose my family if that's the only thing that I have. And I want to be able to go back to something.
So let me ask you, what is, because in one of the sessions that we had at the bar camp, the RE bar camp, it says work-life balance, is it a real thing? Right?
Yeah.
So for you, is it a real thing? I always call it counterbalance.
Yeah.
Right. So we might be on the seaside. We might have to go hard and heavy with work, and then we got to pull back, peel back.
Yeah.
In your opinion, how much of it is balance, counterbalance, focus? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a never-ending pendulum. It's always going to be. There's never like a balance. Yeah. It's always going to be one or the other for certain seasons. And what I've learned in this season is the communication element of when those seasons happen is the balance. Yeah. Right. Like, and you laugh because you know it's true. If you're like, for instance, I'll have a client that's like, hey, like I need to go see this home. It's 7:00. I'm supposed to be home, but I'm communicating that at 5. Yeah. And if there are some times where it does happen like that, but when the expectation, if I know a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance, this wasn't on my calendar and I didn't know about it, I was like, oh crap, like I actually have this thing, like that's where the communication and balance throws off. So one of the things we've been kind of implementing, and it hasn't been very spoken, but we've talked about it, is like the Sunday meetings with the family. So now on Sundays, it's usually us in the kitchen saying like, hey, who's picking up our daughter? Like, how's that going? What do you have going on? And that's been a new implementation within the last 2 to 3 weeks because I have no control over my schedule. I need to get more control over my schedule. My wife's like, you have to get control over your schedule. And she'll call me out. But that is, to me, that's the pendulum. Is there are some times, and I've talked to her saying, hey, it's a slow season. I really need to focus on honing down, doing open houses on the weekends because I wasn't, like, I need to spend more time in my business now. And that communication with her, she's like, okay, cool. Then I can pick up in these areas of the house. And then, but then if I'm not doing the dishes, you know, and she's asked me to do the dishes, if she watches it, she'll laugh. She's like, you're unloading and loading.
Hey, well, first of all, your wife is like my wife. Yeah. We don't have to worry about y'all watching this.
Yeah. She doesn't watch it anyways.
That's what I'm saying. I know my wife will not watch this, and then someone will come and be like, is it true you don't watch Neal stuff? And she's like, first of all, mind your business. Bro. But second of all, yes, that is correct. I'm not watching his stuff, right? Bro. I live with him.
Last week I had this conversation, and that video of me going over the house, I was like, did you see the video? Like, she's like, I saw the video. And like, literally her response was like, yeah, I saw the video. She's like, good job, babe. And walks away. Like, that was her actual response. And I'm like, you can't just say like, good job. Like,
hey, so this part, that that's disrespectful. That right there,
it was like a bless your heart. Like, she's like, I don't care. And like walks out, and she really doesn't. And she's never on social. And like, it would be different if she was on social media. She didn't, but she's not on social media. She doesn't interact on stuff. And so our communication on social media is sending random videos of like cooking hacks or
that's that love language.
Yeah, that's it. Like, there's one I sent. It was like a parenting thing, and I sent it to her. She's like, yeah, I like that, about like how to handle finances and stuff, or just like the most random videos.
Now we talked about you mentioned communication, the importance of communication, but I heard you say something that during your Sundays and you're having a conversation or when something happens, your wife will call you out. Right. So I'm calling that a success partner because she's not calling you out in a vindictive, malicious way. It's one of these things like, hey, we discussed this. There are some areas where you're falling short.
Right.
How cool is it to have someone that doesn't care about all this other stuff, but says, hey, if we are going to get where we're supposed to be, I'm going to have to remind you of some areas where you're falling short.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I call it cool.
So no one wants to be held accountable, right?
She brought it there again. She sent me a video of it was something about how the wife, the husband's not mad at the wife for saying it. It's like it's how she said it, and like it's just being upset for calling me out and being right all the time. Yeah. So and it's generally it's sort of like I am a words of affirmation person. So when something negative, like it's said, not necessarily negative, but I'm being called out, it's a very uncomfortable feeling, and I shut down and clam up. And so she's a very let's handle this kind of situation. And so we're learning that balance of what she does, of me not taking it personally. And it's just for her, it's just another day in the life, as it is. And for me, I'm I'll go and stew on it for the next week. And be like, I'm a horrible husband, I'm doing all this kind of stuff. And she's like, no, it's just that.
This was the reality.
Yeah, this is just what happened.
We addressed it. Now, so you and my wife are alike in that, and me and your wife are alike. And it's always, the majority of the time, that's the case, right? And then man, I wish these offices didn't attract. Then, if I had somebody just like me, the disaster that my life would be.
Yeah,
it would be, they would be like, ooh, Neal, he was on an upward trajectory. He met someone just like him, and it was a train wreck ever since.
I feel like if I met somebody like me, I'd be like, I don't like you. That's probably what I don't like you. You're too annoying. You sing too much.
I don't like it. I don't like this.
I don't think I can handle another me in the room.
All right, so now let's transition over to, you talked about the market or things being slower in real estate, right? So we know that now you're saying, okay, we've got family, that's a priority, but then there are just challenges right now in the real estate industry. Right. So with that, what are you doing? Well, first, let me ask this. Are you being proactive, reactive to the market? Are you saying, okay, well, here's where we are. Let me do something? Because I'm sure you've seen a lot of your colleagues, or like my colleagues, where some of them are saying, well, there goes everything. Time to do something. So where are you in that position, and what are you doing?
I'm trying to be a little bit more proactive. I'm still struggling with, I've never been however weird it might say, because people just don't realize, I've never been a person of action. I've always been an opportunistic. When the opportunity arises, I know how to seize the opportunity.
Right.
But you have to learn how to create those opportunities in order to seize on them. So I've been doing a lot of just kind of retrospective of the direction that I want to go in my business, and how do I set myself apart from agents, because we only have 1,500 agents in Lakeland, in our association. Right, versus where you come from,
60,000 plus.
So for us, it still feels like it's a lot in our area, but we're a much smaller area. A lot of agents are now just starting to get on video, starting to do the modern listing stuff, and now for me, being the creative person that I am, is how can I capture that part of my creativity and bring it into where I'm at. So I've been throwing a bunch of stuff on the wall on social media, really figuring things out to kind of how does this fit? And with my real estate coach, and there's a marketing class within the real estate coach, coaching program that we've been working on. So it's just what is Brandon in the new future of visual marketing, and then still maintaining in the traditional sense of got to be on my phone calls. I have to be doing face-to-faces. I have to meet people. So how do I handle all that? So for me, what I've been doing is I'm now moving into the areas, how do I get the online attention that will help bolster my current business.
Okay. All right. So what do you enjoy the most right now when it comes to the real estate industry, whether it's the marketing? What are you yes, I'm excited about doing this part of it, of the process?
It's so funny that you say that, because right now I don't like any of it, if I'm being completely honest.
So why do you keep doing it?
For me, the financial element of it, and that's been the struggle.
You mean the opportunities?
The financial opportunity. this is like I think the part most people realtors don't really talk about a lot. Like, and I was wondering when it was going to hit me. It's like there will come a time in any time in your career that there'll probably be a moment where like I feel burnt out.
Yeah.
Like I don't really like what I'm doing. And the client interaction I love. I really enjoy that. The meeting people and talking to people and helping them structure. So I guess answer the question,
that's the part that
is the like, I love being able to assess a situation. Here's all the solutions. Here's the ways you can like work on it. And the thing that when they light up, realizing like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. I've never even heard of that. And so I enjoy the education behind the industry and the nuances of it, to take somebody from to look at A through Z and say, here's your situation, and to have a conversation, a discussion with them is like based on that specific circumstance, because how my brain works. I see like everything like working, like here are the things, if you move these things here, how you can get to that goal. And I have a way of being able to explain complexity in a simplistic way for them to say, oh, like that makes sense for me. I find that the most enjoyable, what I do. And then right now I'm helping agents. Like I have a listing with another agent who's brand new. Like that brings me back to the education of like using the skills and resources that I have to help somebody else find success.
Yeah.
Like the burnt out of the day in, day out operation, having to make phone calls, all that kind of stuff. Like it's really weighing on me right now. But there's agents in my office that'll come to me, Brandon, how'd you do this? How'd you do that video? And sharing it with them. And then here's how you handle this listing. Here's how you handle like these problems. So I'm enjoying that part of it. But from a personal thing, I find no personal enjoyment in the actual day in and day out work.
So have you looked at opportunities because you mentioned that you are being coached, have you looked at opportunities as a coach? Or
no.
a mentor, but something that would have a financial investment from others to you.
Yeah, I thought about it, but for me in the real estate industry, I feel like my business hasn't gotten to a point where I would feel comfortable putting myself up front, saying like, hey, this is what I've done in my career.
Okay, stop right there. You're never going to feel comfortable.
No, you're right. But like, for me in the production, it's not like a comfortability thing. Like when I think of a coach, like I want somebody who has a level of experience that like can take somebody to a much higher level. And for me, my highest production is 7 million, which is a lot for a lot of people. But like, I don't think it's at a level where I want, and also, and to backtrack, a lot of it is, I don't have my systems in place. I don't have the consistency of like doing my daily prospecting, doing like these things that should be regimented at a level to where like I couldn't sit here and be like, hey, you should do this, and like I'm also not doing it.
So that's the whole idea of, who was it? I believe was it Gandhi? The mom brought the son, told to him and said, tell my son to stop eating sweets. And he says, come back in like 3 weeks. They bring him back, and he told the son to stop eating sweets. She was like, well, why can you do this last time I was here? I was still eating sweets 3 weeks ago. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
for me, it's that idea is I'm not consistent enough in my business to tell somebody else, hey, like I've done it, and this is how you do it. Here's the metrics, and here's how it actually works because I've done it. I know the concept, but I haven't physically put it on paper and in physical form consistently in my career. It's like it's the whole like the knowledge versus experience.
Are you putting them in place now?
I'm working on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And is that with the help of your coach? And okay, let's get this in so now we can see the results.
Yeah.
And that's the unsexy part. So me and my homeboy, we always say that if you want to be great, you have to master the mundane.
Right.
Right. All the boring, tedious, non-sexy stuff that goes into this thing. And so people see us, they walk around, they're like, oh, I love you in that video. I'm like, yeah, that is 10 minutes of my entire week.
Right.
One time.
Yeah.
And everything else, like if that's as glamorous as it gets, I'm in bad shape.
Yeah.
That's bad stuff. Okay, so now that we know that BMJ is not living the high life, that you do have your struggles, okay, so first I do want to tell you this. I'm at the point now, after almost 20 years in this thing, I think that 4 or 5 years in, I said, I'm done, I'm ready to quit, right? I get in, I'm in 10 years. Yeah, this is not for me. And experience success, right? Having a good time. But then I'm like, man, what am I doing? Why am I doing it?
Right.
And so as a broker, I tell my agents every Monday morning at our meeting, hey, if you don't have your broker's license, get your broker's license. That was one of the requirements I had. Make sure you get your broker's license. They're like, why? I said, because I might wake up one day. You laughing?
No, I laugh because it's funny because it's true.
I might wake up one day, ladies and gentlemen. They were like, "Where's Neal Oates with World Renowned Real Estate?" Oh, World Renowned Real Estate shut its doors, but they did production. And they were just in the Mac.
Yeah,
It's sometimes it feels, and then especially when all you hear is just the challenge and the challenge and the challenge and the stuff that's coming down the pike. You're like, what am I doing? Yeah, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be an easy. So this is where I have to be careful because my first thought is there's got to be an easier way. And then my mom and my dad, they would always say, we don't specialize in easy. And I'm like, man, you old people.
Yeah.
Wish I would have never ingrained that in me. Okay, so on that, you talk of we just mentioned some of the challenges, what we don't look forward to, but you continue to be in leadership.
Yeah.
You continue to help agents who are coming into this thing, who are lost and who don't have guidance and who need guidance. And neither of those are taking things off of your plate. Neither of those are a salaried position saying, hey, thank you for all the extra stuff you do. Let's show you some appreciation.
Right.
First, leadership, whether it's Florida Realtors or at the local level, why are you still doing it?
It's fulfilling. To be like, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Specifically in our local leadership, like by nature, I can't help but try and make wherever place I'm in better. Not that like, there's things that you can see that are wrong. There's things that like, oh, this could be adjusted here. But when you step into a room and you see people struggling, and you see people forgotten, and you see people who feel lost, or who feel they don't have a voice, or nobody cares about them. To me, those are the things where I step in and be like, no, like people need to be valued. People need to make sure that they have somebody who's advocating on behalf of them. And as a realtor, our one of our main things is to advocate for people. Right. And when I look at our membership, as a leader and as an agent, I'm like, I feel this way. I feel like I don't have anybody advocating for me. And I ask why. Like, why are we doing what we're doing and it not being effective? And like usually it starts off with this feeling of like something's off here. And so it wasn't until I jumped in, which is why I got into leadership, to figure out what that was. I need to learn and step into the space. I call it like boxes when we talk about like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Everybody's lived in a box, and they have their own world, their own views, and there's nothing really wrong with that box. But if you never stepped into somebody else's box and like live that life, and no matter where you come from, you can be in the same household, a brother and a sister, and they can both be in different boxes. Right. And so what I've really learned is like how, if I'm gonna try and fix or understand or present solutions, I have to step into the box. I have to figure it out. So that was me getting into leadership, where that's where I said, again, use the skills and resources that I have to help somebody else find success in their life. And it's by learning and understanding, and by getting an in-depth knowledge and education of that surroundings. Now I have a clear picture of the big picture, and now I can see all the little things, saying, hey, here's this thing that is, if we just change that one thing, it has the global effect. And I'm just now in, like, I can tell I'm a little more passionate about it now because I'm in it. Like with Lakeland Realtors, they've done an amazing job. They're financially strong. They're financially stable. Great leadership. But to me, it's felt like there's just been, you walk into the boardroom, it's like, yes, we've just been doing it like how we've always been doing it. But there's been not a lot of people who have said like, why? Like, is this how we're supposed to be doing it? Is there a way we can do it better? Can we be better managers? Can we be better stewards? And so I stepped into that saying, here's the bylaws, here's the rules, here's like, one of the jokes we kind of have with me is Robert's rules. I'm the Robert's rules guy in the thing. And then what I realized is having that order and understanding of like how we're supposed to operate is actually what brings like more cohesiveness in the space and in the room. And people now feel like they can talk because now they're going to be heard. And now there's an actual way to discuss without being mad at you because you have a different view. We're just discussing and we're having that conversation. And so the reason why I'm still in it now is because we're just in that like ability to really affect change, and there's more people coming in leadership. And now, so really exciting is the fact that we have 3 open positions this year, and we have 9 people running for it, which in the history of what we had, I ran unopposed when I came in. Right? Like,
hey, Brandon's like, that should not have been the case.
Yeah.
Default. He said,
I'm blessed to be where I'm at. I wouldn't have gotten where I'm at. Timing is everything.
I BMJ, he's like, hey, if somebody would have ran against me, I probably would have lost. If we're going off credentials. He said, yes, you know what? It's great to have competition now.
Yeah.
We need to have lots of people coming in and running now.
Yeah.
Ooh, a few years ago.
Yeah, but people came, like, they invited me to be in, which is what we should be doing as a director. You should be bringing in your replacement.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't just be leaving and be gone. Like, you should be bringing in your replacement. So it's really cool to see that there's more people who want to serve. And that's been very strategic in our strategic plan and all that kind of stuff to get more people. And that's part of our goals to have it. So I hope that one day, like, I'm going to step into the treasurer position. I'm running unopposed. Like, and there's a natural progression. And this in executive leadership, you don't get as much, but since we're a smaller one, but it would be amazing if every position that we have, people have to come with value. People have to understand and know and be involved. So I say a lot of that just to be like, it's fulfilling to me to step into a place where, like, finally I'm in a place where I feel heard, but I'm only heard because I put myself out there to be heard. And we can talk about diversity and all this other kind of stuff, but there's like a wall that you have to break through. And that's where I've learned now. My wife says this one, it's a fault, but I feel like it's also a blessing, is that I can't not try until, like, I get to the point where there's no other options. Yeah. Right. And so I'm in that now. There's there's still a whole lot of options, and I haven't done everything in my power and my ability to, like, help see this organization and anything around me be, like, not better, but for us to work more cohesively. And then on the Florida director side, honestly, by nature of my position, I'm in it, but I was a Florida director kind of previous to that. I just wanted to learn more about the state level and what that works at. Because now when you see all, like, the mastermind groups and all these people talking about NAR and all this stuff, I'm like, you say that because you have no concept of how things operate.
Come on, sir.
That's really all it is. You're ignorant to the fact.
I was about to say, they're making ignorant statements, right? And the unfortunate part is they don't have to be ignorant.
No, they don't.
Right? And like, it's one of those things where, like, ignorance, unfortunately, right now is a decision, because there are enough resources, enough opportunities, if you refuse to take no as an answer, to become educated and to leave ignorance in the past, right?
And most people they just won't get educated. The complainers usually are the ones that have just no concept of what's happening, what's going on. We talk about Florida realtors and what they've done. So there's an agent in our office, and he's a really great agent, but he's like, I don't think I want to invest in NAR, like in RPAC anymore. And so trying to explain, and I think that's a global issue where we don't do a good job as a realtor association of showing what has been done. Yeah. And I think that's national level.
I believe, I agree wholeheartedly, right? Because we do good work. And so it's one of those things, you can do great work and be important and move change in the right direction. But if you don't, at some point, you got to brag, you got to show me something. Right. We are visual creatures. Yeah. Like, I need to see a victory somehow, some way. Tell me, spend $5 on a brag card or something to send it to me, right? Let me know we did this because of your participation. Without you, we couldn't do this. Let me know something, right? Yeah. And so when I get my little box, I was joking. I was like, the box feel kind of light, can't be nothing good in it. But then I'm like, well, shoot, I'm gonna give again. Yeah. I'm gonna give again. Yeah. All right. So real quick, you mentioned that sometimes there are walls or barriers, right? Yeah. But you also mentioned that hopefully with the way that Lakeland is working, that you will invite or find a replacement in to help, or someone to just move things forward. Right. How do we get beyond those walls or barriers in anything that we're doing when it comes to leadership? What are your thoughts?
The first thing that comes to my mind is just understanding. I feel like if you're not educated enough to explain or to talk, it's like the whole teaching thing. Like, people, like, you can do something, but then try and teach it. And if you can teach it, then you understand it. And by understanding it, you have the ability to teach it. So it's like this weird, like, juxtaposition between the two. And so the walls, if you don't know what built the wall, how the wall was built, how are you going to know to tear it down? Yeah. And how are you going to know to, like, oh, actually, this wall's not going to move, but there's no wall on this side. Yeah. So like, let me just show you how to walk around, like, or let me show you how to dig under it.
Right.
And I think you have to be in a position where you can understand that. And then through that, you also have to like find people who you believe in, or you see the potential in, and then you have to simplify all the knowledge you have to cast vision and to get them on board.
Yeah.
And so without vision, the people perish. Like, it's just,
so people gonna be like, man, that stuff don't work. Y'all just be quoting this stuff y'all read in Sunday school. I'm like, this stuff still works. This stuff has worked. It's gonna work.
And I only say it because of personal experience. Like, I've been underneath leadership that say they have vision, but lack vision and lack the ability to have that vision permeate what they're trying to do. Right. And so, like, where I'm at now, and speaking where I'm at now, comes from the past 5 years of being in bad leadership positions, learning what it means to be a leader, implementing what I feel like leadership needs to be, hitting those walls, bouncing off the walls, breaking my face on the wall, and then some days just being like, screw it, I'm just gonna run straight through the wall, and then people, like, let people know, like, I'm here. We're gonna figure it out. But but doing it in a way where even the people that you're quote unquote coming up against, and I don't say that in any bad way, but when you have somebody who maybe has a different view, where you can say in a way where, like, I'm listening to you and they're listening to me, and we have that dialogue, and then come to a better understanding.
All right. So with everything past 5 years, let's move it back to just the past year.
Yep.
Biggest thing you've learned in the past year when it comes to, let's say, leadership, real estate. What's been your biggest takeaway in the past year?
Biggest thing I've learned? I feel like everything I just talked about.
So the whole leadership, everything coming through that's been a big lesson.
Yeah.
As a dad, biggest thing.
Yeah.
Over the past year.
Presence.
Same thing in family, husband. It's just that presence, just being.
Yeah, it's presence, and the things how you operate now. Now that my daughter's of an age that she like sees everything, it's really being mindful of like what I'm doing. So I see her when she sees me.
See you see me.
Yeah, I see her when she's like little tiny thing, like subtle moments of like, she'll be over there and I'll be sitting next to her and I'm on my phone and she glances over and sees me on the phone. And like it's not that she's like recognizing what it is, but like she's noticing a pattern and noticing that like phone's important, right? And so now I'm like, oh, like I need to like, even if I just need to be there, of like, how do you teach those small moments? Like if she's gonna be 15, 18, what can I instill in her now where she's 18? I'm like, phone's not that important.
Raise them up
like it shouldn't be. And it's hard. Because we're on our phones constantly, and she wants to be on TV. She wants to watch TV all the time, and so there's just been those, like, the learning thing for me is leading by example, and then honestly, right now it's just presence, like being away from her at this moment, like, and knowing I have 3 more days of not being with her.
That's why you weren't here earlier this week. You're like, yes, this is important. I could be here. I could participate. Ooh, that class I really want to attend. Oh, yeah, and that comes to right there.
Yeah, and my wife too, because she's struggling like with Calliope is my daughter's name, and right now she's like daddy's girl through and through, and there's been this struggle with like her not wanting to see mommy when she comes home, and like and it's really hard.
Yeah.
And so as a husband, I'm like, I don't want to be that far away if my wife is also struggling as well. So I went to the business and personal life. I was like, it's not important enough for me to be here yesterday or on Tuesday. So Thursday is enough time for me to still get some classes in, still have these conversations, still build business, and then be here for the important meetings, Saturday, Sunday, and then be back by 12 o'clock on Sunday because I'm only an hour away.
So you're anticipating, even with the voting and everything, you're anticipating a quick meeting this year?
I don't know. Probably not. So
we're going to finish at 11:50. We're still going to get home by 12. This dude's about to have the Men in Black join.
Yeah, be online just like.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I'll stay there. She knows after like, as soon as I leave that meeting, I go straight home. So.
Right. Now you can be there for part of it and then log in with the director. Because if it's not necessary for you to be there in person for reimbursement or whatever, or just sign the paper.
But then what's going to happen is if I do that, then I get home.
You said doo-doo.
Poopy jokes.
I'm a big old kid. He said doo-doo.
Toilet talk. We should have toilet talk with Neal and BMJ. And us just FaceTiming each other on the toilet. Hey, poopy talk.
I do not take. You take your phone to the bathroom?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Why would
you
I
wipe it around. You wipe it down every time, right? With the disinfectant. Of course you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nah, thank you so much. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen. Lord Clorox wipes. Y'all get in contact with BMJ. He's running out.
And this is a video commercial for
So could you imagine me sitting on the stool like this right here? Hey BMJ, what's going on? How you doing? No,
absolutely.
That is not okay. No, absolutely. You can't imagine that.
I can. I have a vivid imagination, my friend.
Lord Jesus, that's horrible. That's horrible.
No. Anyways, the sidetrack.
So you're going to be here for the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you get home.
Yep.
Enjoy yourself.
Yep.
Okay, so quick question, or one of the last few questions. Now going into 2025, we know that real estate is in a place. We're going to see something happen. Things are going to continue to happen. People now are saying that the changes that were made as a result of the settlement, that they are now violating everyone's rights and everything.
Right.
Going into 2025, what are you looking forward to?
Transparency. I think going into 2025, to me, it's like finally, it feels like agents can't hide behind like weird rules that sellers and buyers aren't aware of. And so I think the educational piece for me is super helpful, but I'm glad that there's like papers that you have to have and write and talk through, which makes it more transparent, which to me has been the whole goal and reason for this. Is it frustrating for us as agents? Absolutely.
Well, hold on. For me, it's not. Here's why. Because I've been from day one, I got in the industry, I've been using EBBAs, right?
Yeah.
And so now...
For those who don't know what that is.
The exclusive buy-broker agreement, right? So for me, the frustrating part would be, yes, in Florida, we're a transaction broker state, we got that. But I would still have them, if nothing else, sign it so they could talk about, I want to make sure I'm compensated, even if the other side doesn't want to.
Right.
And then the buyer would come and say, well, I bought 3 houses, I've never signed anything before. I'm going to go find an agent who isn't going to make me sign anything. Cool, that's where you work, fine. Right. Now, I'm sitting here like this. I'm licking my chops. Because what I'm saying is, to legally work with somebody, you're going to have to sign something. Yeah. Even if there's no brokerage relationship, right? You've got to sign something. So I'm looking at a lot of my people, I'm like, hey, you're going to have to come on home to Papa now. Come on back. I'm going to work for you, but just understand, this is also where I tell them, listen, I am years, like almost 2 decades ahead of this thing right here. Yeah. But then, like you said, it's all about transparency. And for me, it's also going to really separate the agents who can communicate their value. Because before, you just had to have somebody hire you. Now you have to have someone be willing to hire you and pay you. Right? That's different. And so, dude, I've seen some stuff already in the week that some things took effect where the agent was not confident enough. They wrote in there, we'll just take whatever the other side is offering. The other side offered 0. The buyer was like, we ain't doing no modification. Yeah. I want this house. And guess what?
That's what it is. If you're in the, they had in our meetings with the legal update, and Joanna Watkins was saying, like, you put what you want to get paid. So, like, be careful what you put in there, because whatever you put in there is like what you're locked into, and you're gonna have to renegotiate. Push comes to shove. And so, I think even in the month that it's been, because it's been August 6th for
now that right there, that's something that as an instructor and a trainer, people didn't understand. So I was like, Royal Palm Coast, theirs was August 1st. Yeah. And then people were like, well, no, we have until August 17th. I was like, no, listen.
No. Our MLS triggered it.
You got to listen to your MLS. Don't be right here listening to the national news. And y'all like, oh, I can't wait for August 17th. Oh, and then next thing you know, they got a fine on August 3rd. Yeah, like, what happened? No one told us, bruh. The MLS, every MLS over-communicates. Every association over-communicates. Right. And they were probably sitting here like, man, I got this fine. And they were not playing about these fines, brother.
Bro. They're not.
They taking tickets. And I was like, one was...
Keep going.
Oh, okay. I was curious what you were looking at. So for those of you who don't know, I'm sitting here and it is raining cats and dogs. We lost the sunlight, right? And so BMJ he was not pleased. He said it was too dark in here already. He was like, oh no, I definitely can't.
I mean, I'm a light brother, but
I'm light-ish. I used to be light. Then I started playing golf, got outside. Man, I'm telling you, I'm light from my wrist to my elbows. I'm still white.
Yeah, I'm light, but I'm light then I'm white.
Things.
So that's where the half black, half white comes from.
See,
half black, dude. And then.
This guy.
I also didn't mean to point where I pointed either.
Oh, right. He's like,
it is what it is.
Okay. All right. So now that we know what you're excited about, the transparency, what are you least excited about? Is there anything that you're not excited about finishing this year, going into 25?
My first thought is I'm not excited about the lack of understanding from other realtors. That's a cause of frustration. But to me, it's like, what else is new at that point? Because at the end of the day, you always deal with somebody who doesn't know. I think it'll be a bigger issue having to deal with like agents who don't know, brokers who aren't training how they're supposed to be training, like, you know.
Hold on. There's nothing worse than having a boss that don't know what the hell is going on.
The barrier to entry for real estate is low.
If you're the boss, if I'm like, talk to your boss. I am the boss. Oh, geez.
Listen, I don't know if you agree or not, but the barrier to entry to get a real estate license,
it's insulting.
A little bit, yeah.
No, it's very insulting.
So seeing that, and I'm like, you are a broker. Like how I don't know what to say. Like, how do you just not know? But you don't. Like, that's the ability to continue to be educated, to only have 14 hours of, continuing education as a regular licensee. When there's like, to get your GC license, you have to have 4 years of experience. You have to have a financial backing. You have to like there's a way through like getting that. And so I think that's the struggle, is just a lack of training and education.
Do you think, because I have been thinking that there was going to be some type of increased education requirement, right? For this, do you think that coming on the back of what we're seeing right now, do you see any additional education requirements being?
It doesn't seem like there's anything on the horizon.
Nothing, right? Let's just tax them and sue them and everything else.
Yeah.
Let them keep being ignorant. Get in here.
No education, no changing how you get licensed. No, and we're like, what's interesting is like, Arizona, it's 100 hours pre-licensing.
Okay.
Like there's a longer requirement. I still don't think it's enough, but like there's a longer requirement to get into it. And so for Florida, I think just because it's a vacation state, it gets people in. Like it seems to be pretty easy. But I do not see any sort of education on the.
But the crazy thing is, right? People like, man, 100 hours. I do that in Netflix in 2 weeks. I do 100 hours in Netflix and movies and shows. And what is it? The House of the Dragon. I do that in 2 weeks. I'm like, y'all, wow. All right, last question.
And it's your turn.
What?
What?
No, go ahead. What is it?
I said, and then it's your turn.
Oh no, that's it. Because of time.
I'm gonna ask you some more questions.
No, so we're gonna. At the end of 24, first we're going to do business first. I want you to think about it personally. Yeah. At the end of 24, it will have been a successful year if BMJ what?
It'd be a successful year if I really was more consistent in just like daily prospecting and continuing to implement like systems in my business.
So what is it going to take to get there? Because right now we're in August. We have a couple of months left. What is it going to take to make you consistent over the next 4 months?
My real estate coach telling me to make sure I log my stuff. So for me, it's logging my metrics. So to be able to sit down and say, hey, like, here's the amount of people I've called, and to be able to call it out and say, here's who I've called, here's the leads I've gotten, here's like the breakdown of what that is. So that comes down to tracking. So to me, it's at the end of my year. I don't think I'm going to be at where I was last year, which is okay for me, because there's been some big things that have changed in my business that is like trying to fight through. So to say, like, I've been able to track my metrics, I've been able to look back and see where I've gone, and to be able to have a game plan based on those metrics on what 2025 can look like.
Okay. So here's what I will encourage you with. When I got started 2 decades ago, my coach and my mentor had me doing the same stuff. And we're going to be talking about the same things 10 years from now. Can you track your numbers? Do you know where your business is coming from? Can you predict what's going to happen based on the number of contacts and conversations and appointments and leads? And regardless of how it gets there, can you track it? If you don't track it, measure it, we can't improve it. Okay, personally, personal life, husband, man, father, friend, son, all of that. 2024 will have been successful if what?
To me, it comes down to schedule, being consistent in our Sunday meetings, and just really being able to communicate effectively with my wife.
Does your wife know how important that is to you right now?
Nope, but it will be.
So you're going to communicate that, because she's not going to watch this right here. We've already established that.
And we talk about it. It hasn't been so like
I said, a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, so we have talked about just the importance of like, there are like little snippets of, it is going to be really important to be able to communicate what the schedule looks like. And it's something she's also asked of me.
Okay.
You know, so to me, if I know how to be more present, and I've come to a point of, yes, business is still business, but focusing on my family and making sure that I'm still present there.
All right, good stuff. So, well, as always, this has been an absolute treat. I know that you all can't wait for the next one. It's going to be soon. Right? Yeah. Because I think we have to switch seats, right? We have to switch roles. You probably want to ask me a lot of questions that I'm going to do, like in that Young Thug YSL case. I plead the fifth. Like, what is that? I don't know. Have you watched any of that stuff with Woody? All right, no. Because that's the black part black side.
And I know I was never raised my black side of the family.
And so I don't know anything. I just know that there's one guy called YSL Woody, and I think it's Young Slime Life or something. So first of all, you like Young Slime Life?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So anyway, YSL Woody, his whole thing is he gets on the stand and acts dumb as dirt.
Oh, jeez.
And his attorney is there. They have given him, what is it? Not asylum. But when they say that you can't be held responsible for nothing you say, you can't be indicted for nothing you say.
Oh, yeah.
So they're asking him questions. And he's like, hey, can I answer that? His attorney's like, yes, you can answer that. They're like, oh, yeah, we rolled up on his daddy's spot and we shot that place up. And I'm like this, I'm like, what in the world? So I am not answering all that information. So when you start asking,
I don't answer that kind of question.
I don't know. I just want to let you know up front. I'm gonna be on here looking crazy with a tore white T-shirt with holes in it. Like, hey, can I answer that? No, I can't. Okay. She said I can't answer that. And then when I point like this, just know that it's a window and outside.
Yeah.
Nobody's out there. Thank you for hanging. Always a pleasure. You all make sure that you follow Brandon Moore Johnson everywhere. One of the most creative individuals that I have ever met. One of the nicest people that I've ever met. Someone that is honest, authentic, someone that has a large, high upside. Looking forward, because if you're treasurer next year, after that, and then after
hopefully
that,
president-elect. I'm planning on going for presidency.
So that is in the plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, because then we can really affect change and make change look good and different and be sexy.
I mean, that's why I'm starting to do video stuff now. So I had them do some video work, and I'm making like the president and the president-elect just talk about like their experience, and I'm going to be putting a video together so we can show it to the members. I think video is a big thing. Is what we need to do.
Video is so important, brother.
They actually asked that we may be implementing, doing like a podcast studio in there, and like getting recording equipment and tasking, us to do that. And I'm part of a PAG for like how do we better communications and all that kind of stuff. So to me, like doing this kind of stuff is implementing like for our association, and which is why I will ask you one question. Doesn't have to be on this, and you can cut it from there. But
do you want it on here or no? Do you want
you can
answer?
Yeah, but I'll spice it so we don't have to.
All right.
Yeah. So for those who are agents not involved in their associations or even just educating themselves on what's going on, why is it important for a realtor to be involved and to educate themselves on what's going on? And how have you found it to be a benefit to your business and your career?
So first, I'm going to answer that backwards. And how I found it to be a benefit, it's Mainly because I have a say in what happens to me, my business, my family, right? So what do they say? If you're not at the table, you're on the menu, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here, and as we had conversation walking up here, that's why I've made sure not only am I at the table, I am in the planning of the meal conversation, right? And so that's going to be the biggest reason I want to have a say in this. And if you're not involved, you can become one of those, we always say PPS, professional problem spotter or professional problem solver.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of the problem solver group, not just sitting here pointing the finger saying this is wrong, that's wrong, complaining, and being with the group or what we call the mediocre many, who are just sitting here making excuses or pointing the fingers, being ignorant. But for me, why I think it's absolutely necessary is because if you are not active in decision making, in moving your association in the right way, you're a slave, right? And I know that's a harsh word, right? But if you're not a master of something, you are a slave to that thing. And so I just hate. I really hate. And so I want to be graphic. I want to, in my imagery, I want people to be like, man, he just said I'm a slave. Well, if you're not the head, you're the tail. And the lender being a master to the borrower, right? And so I believe that if you are not committed, if you're not part of this thing, that you are at risk of being a slave to it and not having a say in it, and then being forced to work against your will or to just take what's given to you. And I know for me to say that it's unpopular, right? But I also just wrote a book called The Affluent Negroes, right? So I don't think that me being unpopular is a concern that I have. And so I think that if you really care about this thing, if you care about the opportunity, because here's what we know. All of us have the same opportunity once you get in this thing, because it's low. Anybody can get in here. Right. So we know that. But if you do not go from saying, how do I seize and capitalize and maximize this opportunity, you're always going to be at the mercy of whatever someone throws to you. And I think that's a dangerous place to be. So if you are not serious, and people don't have to agree. I just know that those who are invested and involved in their local association, state, the ones who attend all the stuff that we don't like nobody likes politicians except politicians. We don't like politics. We do it because we have to, right? But if you aren't involved and something happens, you have no say. And so my dad told me at an early age that silence is acceptance. And if you keep your mouth shut when decisions were being made, don't open your mouth when they start enforcing the actions. And I'm sitting here like, oh, and I like to talk too much. And so I want people to say, hey, I have a say, because then there's also this personal pride that comes with it. Good, bad, ugly, at least you could say, hey, my voice was heard. How you were talking about your association. We want to have systems in place so that voices can be heard. And if you're not willing to speak up, it's hard to be empathetic. It's hard to be sympathetic.
So we see all the ones who are just online complaining, but taking no part in learning and understanding and being a part of the solution.
Zero. And so then when they come and say, well, Neal, what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing my part. Like this, I've got this. What are you doing? Man, I went and I liked this and I said this on social. And I'm like, yeah, you one of those keyboard gangsters. I know what you are.
So for those who may not have or want to be leadership, because I don't think everybody needs to be involved to that level, should you... Yeah, I don't believe everybody needs to or should, right? I think there's personalities and people who kind of gravitate towards those. For those, like I would say, like your general realtor, what are how can they become more aware of what's happening, so they're knowledgeable and less on the ignorant side of things, so they at least know, one, the value, and two, where they can get information on how to be more aware.
So the first thing is check your email. Right? Like no, and
I laugh because that is like
simple.
In our association, that it's like the number one answer we get all the time. But
but here's why. It goes back to those biblical truths we talk about. It is the one thing. Check your email. I always say that the key is effective communication. Right? We have I believe our associations as a whole do a great job communicating, but it's not effective because we as the receivers, we aren't receiving the information, right? And so none of us want another email. None of us need another text message. But there's no better way right now to just get this out to our 1,500, our 60,000 members.
Right.
All right. And so check your emails. Florida Legal Hotline, they have questions. Florida Legal sends out this email, and it's a lot of great stuff. You have to go in and discipline yourself to look at bits and pieces.
Right.
Get up a few minutes earlier in the day. I'm going to spend my 15 minutes looking at this dang Florida Legal update, see what it says. Cool. They've given us resources with all this stuff going on. NAR. We have Facts.Realtor. Florida Realtors has the Law and Ethics. You go there, look at all the resources. Your local associations, they're having webinars. They're having all this stuff and just pumping it out. And we're sitting here saying, well, I don't have time for that, but we have time to potentially get sued when we don't follow the rules. Right. So I think it all just goes back to discipline in our decision making. What's important, the same way you mentioned, you had to make decisions, right? What is important? Where's my focus going to be? Many of us are thinking about the dollars that we're going to make when we're not thinking about here's how to run a successful business. And so I think it's a decision to be aware, check your email, and then whoever sent you the email, there's probably going to be, if you have more questions or a FAQ, then just reply back. If it's no reply, don't reply to the no reply email address, but it will have contact info. Ask them, what else do I need to know? Lose the ego, realize, hey, I don't know everything. Let me ask knowledgeable people. Let me be willing to come to environments like this, watch some amazing people on IG, Facebook, YouTube, like Brandon and myself. And when you see us in person, ask us questions.
So it seems like it's definitely a mix of take the action to inform yourself, and then also from the association to make sure we're providing the information that they need.
And so on that part, I know that our associations get bad raps, right? It's easy to point the finger at what many people think is a faceless, nameless organization. Right. But we know, like, if I think of Lakeland Realtors, I might think of an organization until I get to know BMJ. So now I'm not so quick to say the association isn't doing their job, but they're not giving me what I need, when now I see your face when I think of them. Right? When I think of Florida Realtors, right? Because then, and so that's why I think that it's important for the leaders to say, okay, yes, we're this organization, but we're made up of people and individuals. And so as you mentioned, let's get this video, let's get this podcast, let's hear their heart. Right? Let's see what their viewpoint is. Let me have a platform or an arena where I can get some understanding. I can agree or I can disagree. But at least now I'm start seeing, and it's not just this from the mailbox of like,
and I think that's what the video side of things is so important, because it's not just doing a video. It's getting people to learn more about the leadership and who they are, the personalities, how they're interacting.
So but because I mean, it's hard to believe that people don't like me. Can you believe that? They don't like me until they see me on video. Then they see me on video. They're like, how could I not like this guy?
Who's that dapper man?
They were like, man, I can't stand him, but I will sit there and not like him for 40 minutes as he talks about crap. Right? And so I feel like I won. And even though my wife will never watch the videos, others will, and they'll be like, hey, man, we can't wait for toilet talk. I'm like,
toilet talk?
I told you all, he's one of the most creative individuals I know.
Oh, that's too funny. I appreciate the conversation, my friend. It's always a blast. I love it, man. I'm putting that in.
Not the one that goes to the important people. Put that on there for the peasants.
No, it goes to everybody. You can be serious and funny at the same time.
Yeah.
You know,
hey, I just call
you don't got to be dressed in a suit all the time.
Now, well, let me tell you about that. This morning, I get up, wife and I, we're going to do the incognito move. I'm peopled out at this point. It's 9 o'clock. I'm like, as soon as the expo open, I'm going to go down there. I got jogging pants on, t-shirt. Go in, go, bah, 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 bah. Incognito. Nobody's going to notice me. I told you, as we're walking, I do this deal right here. Okay, I saw them, but they didn't see me. Or they saw me, I just act like I didn't see them. Boom. And so we're walking. I walk by 3 people. I see them. They don't recognize it's me because I don't have a bow tie on. I'm like, yes, it's working. We get into the expo. I walk past, boom, boom. I'm like, this is pretty good. It's like I have a CGI mask on or something. They can't even tell it's me. I'm walking, and then someone says, Neal Oates, where's your bow tie? And I was like, I just keep walking. Is that Neal Oates? Another voice. Next thing you know, man, I got 7 people around me. we didn't even know you had a neck. What do you mean didn't know I had a neck? Man, I've never seen. So I'm tatted up on my arms, right?
I haven't seen your tats.
Oh, we got them going down.
Nice.
And so they're like, Neal, you got tattoos? I'm like, yeah, I got a couple. What's that one? What's this one? That one? But see, everything, even so this is my son, Neal the third, and then his birthday.
Okay.
Right? So even that one, I have it. So I have my watch covered up. And so, man, I'm sitting there in the middle of the freaking expo, brother. Hey. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, So you say I don't always have to have this on. Apparently I do, because now I'm out of uniform.
You the one that did like brand yourself that way. So
man, I was like, okay, let me do it. I like the feel. I like, this is how I am relaxed, and I want to be myself. But then when I want to not be myself, hey, no, go get back in your box, boy. Now I just play with the boy.
Oh boy.
Look, see,
boy, bye.
I found that when you throw that little bit in there.
I saw the shade on some Facebook posts.
Did you see how they did your boy?
I saw it.
You saw it, but you didn't see me.
Huh? That's what I'm saying. I was like,
brother. And then here's where I didn't take the high road all the way. I took the high road, but I have the apology email. Bless your heart. I have the apology email. And so here's where I mentioned briefly that I'm writing a book. Well, it's finished. This Affluent Negroes, the 7 Principles for Minority Wealth Creation, right? And we're using the acronym Negroes for all of the stuff, right? And in there, it talks about excel everywhere, right? How you have to excel everywhere to even get into the room, and then excel even more to get at the table, and then excel even more. Man. Right? And so I'm saying,
I don't think we have another hour to.
No. And so here's why I say that, because I got that, and initially, my wife, white, Cuban, American, and so she was like, the moment I posted it, she got nervous. She said, oh my gosh, what did you do? But me, I'm thinking for the book release. And so now I'm thinking, how do I get real life case study information where now it's a personal experience and example, where I'm like, hey, don't think that you can be good and be here. And then I saved some of the comments where they're like, oh, one of my homegirls, she just like, looks like you're the wrong color. And I was like, come on. I was like, I'm gonna circle. So when you see the video playing, and people, one of my friends who was on the panel with me, she was like, I kept watching the video waiting for your face. Where is it? That's the question. That's the point. So it's fun. Like, now it's comical. But then I have to make it comical because I was watching this interview where it was Lawrence Fishburne and the guy that did Reading Rainbow. And who also played Kunta Kinte in the thing. And so he says that he has 12 Emmy Awards. I forget the gentleman's name, but he has 12 Emmy Awards above the hearth on his fireplace right, in the living room. And so he has that, and above that he has the chains that he wore as Kunta Kinte the slave. And so Lawrence Fishburne was like, what? He was like, yes, I want people to know that while I am friendly, and while, yes, I am the guy who has 12 Emmys, I'm also a guy that's undoubtedly filled with rage. Right? And so I sit there and I'm like, huh. And so part of that little slight jab on social was like, you all, I'm nice, I'm respectable, I'm professional, but you all have no idea the monster that is inside of me, because like, it's a hard place to be. And so we're here and we walk up the steps and I see my name at the top, but I know that even though my name is at the top, I know the perception is I'm still not even on the list, even from the bottom, right? And so that's a whole nother, like I said, that's a whole nother conversation that we're working on. But I'm having fun, making a lot of people sweat and making a lot of people uncomfortable, and having the freedom to know what is legal, illegal, ethical, unethical, and boy, that line. I dance on that line, and so the way I dance, I don't dance like this right here. I dance, and so that way my foot is here on this side, but I'm on that side. So if I slip, I'm like, hey, I'm on the line. They'll be like, hey, you stepped over the line. I'm like, but I'm on it, like technically, right? And so the word I've been using the word Negro for the past. It's just one of my favorite words. Negro. I love it. Because think about it. Negro has been the accepted term, right? But it was also a powerful term.
Yeah.
It's also an uncomfortable term. But like I could say Negro all day long and not say anything wrong, but make everyone feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I have blacks, whites, Hispanics, everybody. Did he just say Negro? I'm like, but my Hispanics say negro like it's nothing. It just means black. Right?
Way more context to it than that, but right? Yeah.
But yeah. Black shoes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a way of being provocative, and that makes people think.
And so it makes some people think, it makes some people shirts. They're like, oh my gosh. We thought he was one of the nice ones. I am nice. I said Negro.
What are you talking about? Negro can't be nice?
Negro can't be nice? Come on, fam. Nah, so like I said, I'm having fun. I'm having a lot more fun than I should be having. So with the things that we've done, the people that we've had access to, the amount of times I've gotten in trouble and gotten my hand spanked, I think I've learned from all of those. The people experiences, good, bad, and I'm having more fun now. And I'm like, what's the worst y'all can do to me? Kill me? Go ahead. Go home to be with the Lord.
Hi, Jesus.
Go home to be with the Lord. Nah, but having way too much fun.
Good.
I was a pleasure.
All right, then. Yeah, my friend. I appreciate you.
All right, wives. We'll see y'all later.
Love you, boo-boo.
Yeah, somebody gonna be like, oh, did you see your husband give you a shot? No. And then none of them.
She's not gonna make it this far in the video.
If someone's still watching this video, they need to invest this time into increasing their education. You could have gotten a whole credit hour with the education.
I feel like we just need to have a podcast regularly, just off the cuff conversation.
I think that might be dangerous because one of us gonna violate something. You know how
violate what?
I don't know. You know how easy it is to get sued now as a Negro realtor.
It is.
Could you imagine that? He said.
I've never been considered a Negro realtor. Not that I've been aware of. So
you haven't?
No.
In Polk County?
Not that I'm aware of. Anyway, again, ignorance is bliss.
Not all the time. Listen, come on, man, get out.
I have a very unique situation, but like I've never felt actual racism.
Really?
Like direct racism. Yeah.
So let me tell you. So I have felt it so much that I have a spidey sense, and I know when it's coming before it happens.
Yeah.
The worst example was my wife and I went into a doctor's appointment, and so I went in there with her, and it was an older Caucasian doctor. His entire nurse staff, front of house, is Hispanic and Haitian, and we get in there, and he says something to my wife about me as a black man. And I said, hey, listen, that's one. There won't be two. and so my wife was like, excuse me, because she thought she misheard him, because she's never seen, because she looks white.
Yeah.
She's never had any experience with racism. And then the guy said, such, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I'm surprised. So we're reading the thing, right? Some of the paperwork. He was like, what is he holding for you? It's not like he can read it. Like that right there. Boom. I got up. I got up. And so here's what's crazy. People see me. They see the nice guy. They see the smile. They don't understand. The reason I smile is because this is a prison holding that monster on the inside. And so I say that I am, and here's what I know about myself. I have the capability to be the ugliest, most vindictive person you've ever met in your life. I have and so when I get comfortable, I tell people, I'm like, listen, there are things that I know about myself that if you knew, not only would you not be my friend, you would pray that you would have never met me in your life, right? And so they like to see that side of me. And I said, listen, baby, let's go. And here's where the problem came in. Old Doc tried to follow me out. Like, Doc, don't. Just you stay in there.
Yeah.
We got scalpels, we got everything. You stay in there. You stay in there. And so I come out and say, excuse me, who can I, I'm still trying. Excuse me, who can I file a complaint with? Oh, well, what happened in this? And so then he comes out that's using obscenities and stuff that is just hateful.
Wow.
And there are other people in the waiting room. Yeah. They come out like,
what?
What happened? And what? Oh, hey.
So gosh. Yeah.
But that's just one of them. And so it's, like I said, unfortunately, I grew up in Alabama. And so growing up in Alabama, we saw a lot, we've heard a lot. And then I've always been in a place where I've had this favor on me. We know it's God's favor. And so it's gotten me into rooms that others felt like I didn't belong in.
Right.
And they let everybody know, and myself included, that one there, he doesn't belong in here. And so I'm like, oh, we don't. And that's where and that's, unfortunately and fortunately, that's where my contrite spirit comes in. At times when I'm like, oh, we're going to have some fun with you. I'm going to make you probably going to turn 2 shades of red today. And I get in there, I'm like, yes, on behalf of all the Negroes, I just want to say thank you all for allowing me to be in here. Some people will laugh. Some people are like, did he say that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I mean, y'all, come on. I'm surprised I haven't gotten kicked out of classrooms yet as an instructor. Man, bar camp, I said something. We were talking about luxury and global real estate and all that stuff. And I said, I'm like, hey, I'm probably the least person you all thought that was going to come in here talking about luxury real estate. Right? It's not every day that someone from Alabama, let alone a Negro, is your instructor, and they just bust out laughing. And I'm like, y'all were thinking it, right? And they're like,
and you're like, I know you laughing because that's what you're thinking.
and I'm like, yeah, it's believable. They're like, yeah. They're like, I'm glad you addressed it. Now I don't have to wonder, does he really know? And that's when we have to roll out.
Yeah.
Look at my resume.
Yeah.
Look at who
it's always interesting because people like get confused by that. I'm like, I was raised in Arizona. So like all my friends are Mexican and white, and I moved to Florida and I'm Puerto Rican. I'm half black, half white.